Welcome back to another live episode of the Couch GM podcast. Today I'm going to be joined by my good friend Aaron Scofield to talk through the Mariners' recent road trip, their 10-game road trip that just wrapped up. Dylan Moore carrying the ball club, Julio showing some signs of life, and then we'll get into a lot more. But first off, a big shout out to our sponsors, Black Label Supplements. I actually took a half scoop of their pre-workout before the show to just get ready for the show, and needed something a little extra. If you see me busting out some pull-ups in the background, that's probably what it is. Use code CouchGM for 15% off your order at blacklabelsupplements.com. They've got some awesome products. Also, the Couch GM YouTube channel is sponsored by myself or Leonard Connor Webb. In case you didn't already know, I am a full-time mortgage loan originator during the day. I actually recently helped my first Couch GM client make a move across the country. So, if you're thinking of buying, selling, or refinancing, make sure to reach out to myself, the Couch GM, or visit leonardconnorwebb.com to hit a home run with your mortgage financing needs. And then also a big shout out to Baseballism, who is the official off the field brand of baseball. They've got tons of great sports apparel and products. They've got this Griffey pixelated shirt, the hat on the wall, much more. Go check out baseballism.com. Again, Couch GM gets you 15% off your order. And with that, let's go ahead and bring in Aaron Scofield, good friend of mine, to talk some Mariners. Aaron, how we doing?
Pretty good. Excited to talk some Mariner baseball. Glad we got the win today. Just snuck it out.
Man, yeah. Have you seen the movie Airplane?
I have not.
Okay, for those of you that have seen Airplane, it's basically it's a comedy, but there's a guy in the cockpit, a pilot, and he's profusely sweating, and it's like every time I'm watching a Mariner game, I feel like I'm that guy in the cockpit that is just sweating at every last pitch in the game because something seems to happen or to go wrong. And today it was CJ Abrams that hit the home run off of Ryan Stanek in the late innings to pull ahead, take the lead. Eventually, Ty France and Julio Rodriguez got the Mariners back on top. What were your thoughts of the game, and what are your thoughts of where the Mariners are currently at with their last stretch?
Well, it was a tough road trip, 4-6, but hey, not 3-7. We'll take that. Needed that win today. I saw, I'm just glad Jesse Winker didn't get us. Yeah, I was thinking it could be a grand slam.
I thought that was a grand slam.
Yeah, I was sweating, just like you were saying, I was sweating on that. But then CJ Abrams, he's a heck of a ball player too. That was a big trade for them a couple years back, and he's having a good year. So, you can't be too bummed about that. But the Mariners showed some fight. That's always good. Our offense finally woke up and pulled through. And Julio, he had a heck of a day. He's had a good week, honestly. Is it too early to say Julio's back? Maybe, but I'm liking 2 home runs in the last couple games.
For sure. And a pretty wild stat. So before today's game, in which they scored, I believe, it was 9 runs. Before today's game, the Mariners scored each of their last 7 runs via the home run, and 10 of their last 11 runs before today were from the home run, dating back to May 21st at the New York Yankees. And the Mariners have actually scored 94 of their 193 runs this season as a part of 59 home runs, accounting for 48.7% of their total run production have come from home runs, which is the 3rd highest rate in the majors this season, only behind the Oakland A's, the New York Yankees, only behind those 2 teams. So, and Seattle's 48.7% of runs being scored via a home run is on pace to be the highest rate in franchise history, surpassing the 2016 Mariners and the 2019 Mariners. And so, all that being said, last year and this offseason, there has been the retooling of the offense to where they go from reliant on walks, strikeouts, and home runs to now hopefully a more balanced ball club. But they have the highest, percentage of the runs coming from the home run to start the season. I guess what do you have to say about their offense and the retooling that has happened this offseason?
I mean, that is an amazing stat. I did not know that. I knew about the Athletics. I knew because they were number 1 in home runs, and I thought that was a crazy stat in itself. But I mean, the Mariners offense, they do have some guys with power in that lineup. I mean, Cal even just, leading with 11 home runs. I think Langoliers is right behind him from the Athletics. We got some big boppers, and we got rid of a couple in Gino and Teoscar, but I think that's good to see. We just got to be more consistent about getting a couple, guys on base. I can say the same for my fantasy baseball team. I led this weekend with 16 home runs and had something like 30 RBIs, and I've got the injured Mike Trout on my team as well. But you just need to get base runners on, and I think that's what's going to be key for the Mariners going forward in the second half is just getting like drawing more walks. I mean, JP last season was incredible about just getting on base and getting on base for those guys. And now that Julio is starting to heat up, hopefully we can get guys on and he can drive them in.
Now JP Crawford, is back from the IL stint. Dylan Moore has been absolutely on fire. The past 7 days, he is fourth in all of baseball in OPS. The past 15 days, 15 days, he's seventh in all of baseball. He's been showing that he needs to be playing pretty much every day. He's got the versatility that allows you to be able to slot him in wherever you can fit him. I mean, do you think the Dylan Moore hot streak is for real?
I'm a big Dylan Moore fan, honestly.
Okay.
I didn't like Dylan Moore at all because I was at his very first game as a Mariner, and he was playing third base that day, and he made 3 consecutive errors. And I just remember being with my friends, and we were just losing it. We're like, who is this Dylan Moore guy that's playing over Kyle Seager right now? But since then, you know what? The last couple of years, he's impressed, and he got a contract with us, and I like him. I mean, I actually didn't even know he was 31 years old right now because he seems to play with such youth. It feels like that you still kind of think of him as that younger version of himself, but he's just a good utility guy. The only position that he hasn't played for the Mariners actually is catcher. He is. Did you see that statistic that Dylan Moore has played over 15 games at every position but catcher, and then obviously he pitched his rookie year. He got thrown in a pitcher, but that's it. So he's played every single position for the Mariners at least 15 games, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. He's just a great utility guy. His bat's been hot. He's been a nice, pleasant spark in the Mariners offense.
I did not know that stat. That's pretty wild. And I want to ask him a question. It's like, how do you even prepare before a game? Because yourself, myself, we both played baseball growing up. You played a lot of different positions.
Yeah.
I guess at a certain point, you're just an athlete, and Dylan Moore clearly is just an athlete. You just go to whatever spot you need to, and you make the plays. But to have that much versatility, I guess if Cal needs a day off and Sebi Zavala gets hurt, now that Blake Hunt is traded away, you never know. We might see Dylan Moore with some catcher's gear rather
That
than
would be
Mitch
awesome.
Garber.
I'm all for it. I think that'd be really cool if he just checked off that last box, and even for an inning, just say that he's played every position for the Mariners. That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So this last stretch, the Mariners had a really tough stretch that they are just finishing up with the Orioles and the Yankees, mainly the Nationals. We thought were going to be a bit easier of an opponent, but when the bats don't work. But now we're heading into like a 10-game series against all AL West opponents with the Astros, the Angels, and then the A's. The AL West is the only division of baseball where there's not at least 2 teams that are at 500 or higher. So the fact that the Mariners are currently first in the AL West with just a 519 win percentage, 28 and 26, it's a blessing that they are in the AL West and not in any other division.
Definitely.
So
yeah, it's going to be good. I think this upcoming homestand is just going to be really important for the Mariners to just get back on track. The last couple road trips have been a little tougher. I mean, this one was hard to start out playing the 2 best teams in the AL. Orioles are hot. They're young. They're just a good ball club, and I think they will be for years to come. So we're going to have to face that. We're going to have to get past them in playoffs, I think, so it's good. We fought, we tied the series up with the Yankees. It's unfortunate that we couldn't win that one and get in the first 2 games, but starting pitching has still been pretty solid. It's been good. Our bullpen, unfortunately, has been letting up a lot more runs than they were at the beginning of the season. I know I read that in the last, I think it was like 23, 24 innings on this road trip, the bullpen surrendered 20 runs. And that was without that was actually without incurring the runs that the starting pitchers had left on base going into like the
That
seventh.
was without inherited runs.
So yeah, so that was just earned runs from the bullpen.
Yeah.
Not good, obviously. A bunch today with Ryan Stanek, and I really like Ryan Stanek, and I think
So do I.
Yeah, he's a good pitcher. He's going to be strong for us. He's been solid all year. He's had a couple unlucky outings, in my personal opinion, on that. But I think he's just going to be a solid reliever going down the road. I think our bullpen is going to be one of the best bullpens towards the end of the year. We're going to get some guys back. I'm really looking forward to getting Santos back. Brash, very rough situation there, but I think Santos is going to be stellar out there. We just got another Orioles reliever, and I'm looking forward to Bowman. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do out there. He's pretty good too. I checked out his repertoire, and he's good. So I think we're going to be fine in terms of that. I mean, our starting pitching isn't going anywhere. Everyone has been doing their job. Just got to get a couple more runs on the board, and I think we'll be good.
Yeah, and as far as Gregory Santos is concerned, I just looked it up before we got on here, and it seems like he's progressing towards a return at some point closer to July. Mm-hmm. So, but to get him back, that will be huge. Yeah, we'll see how Mike Baumann does now that he's been acquired. Here's another stat. The Mariners starting rotation after Brian Wu's start today now have 31 quality starts this season. The 31 plus or outings of 6+ innings and 3 or fewer earned runs is the most in the American League and second most in the majors, only behind the Phillies. Logan Gilbert has 9 quality starts this year, is tied for the most in the majors. Luis Castillo has 7, George Kirby 5, Bryce Miller 5, and then Brian Wu, he just came back. This was his second quality start in a row. They make up, those Gilbert, Castillo, Kirby, and Miller make up the only foursome in baseball with 5+ quality starts this season. So that speaks to the quality of the rotation. And now that Brian Wu is back, he looks solid. He's dotting up 95-mile-an-hour 4-seam and 2-seams all game. And just the fact that he's back and looking healthy, I think is huge for the future of the Mariners this year.
Definitely. Brian Wu's looking like an ace out there. I mean, seriously, I was at his first start back there, and man, he is looking good. All of his pitches are working. He's not going to blow it by anybody, but he's a strike thrower. He's like a Jamie Moyer if Jamie Moyer threw 95. No, he's just a good strike throwing machine. He really just mixes it up well too. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do this season. I think he's going to do big things for us. And if that's your number 5 guy, I mean, what does that say about your ball club? So we got the pitching depth. Everyone knows it. Everyone's been preaching that, but I mean, it really is amazing how good our pitching is. And people want to say, trade Bryce Miller, trade Brian Wu for a couple bats and whatnot. I think our offense, personally, I think they're going to get it done. I know they haven't showed that right now at this point in the season, but I don't know. I like the guys' swings. I've coached baseball. I've been coaching for 10 years. I think they have good swings. I think they've just been in a huge funk to start the season. And, that happens sometimes. I think you're going to see Julio start bouncing back. He's always, started off slow the last few years. And I think he's going to be fine. So I think we just need to be patient with it. I don't think the pitching is really going to fall off. So I think they're going to continue to do their job all year. And I think the hitting can only get better from here. I don't think I would be, I'd be astounded if the hitting got worse from what we've seen. So, we're going to score more runs. I think the pitchers know that too. We're going to have to win a lot of one-run ball games, which is what the Mariners have been doing the last few years. And we usually lead the league in winning one-run ball games. And that's the name of the game for them. So we'll see.
A stat that kind of surprised me is that the Mariners hitters have a combined 41.9% hard hit rate, which is the 4th highest in the majors, and only trailing Atlanta, the Dodgers, and the Baltimore Orioles for the highest hard hit percentage. Yeah. So I haven't looked at the Baseball Savant numbers as far as expected, numbers, but it seems like they might be getting a bit unlucky. They're hitting the ball hard, it seems, via the underlying numbers. It's just a matter of finding the gaps in the field. And then also, Ty France has an 818 OPS over his last 12 games. He started off the season incredibly hot. I saw his baseball savant. I picked him up on fantasy baseball, and it's like this guy's on. I mean, Driveline. Here we go. And then he got into a slump, and now he's starting to come back again. So on top of that, Mariners batters are averaging 4.08 pitches per plate appearance, which is the most in the majors this season. So per the stats, they are being patient in the counts. They're striking out the most in baseball, but they are working the counts. They're hitting the ball hard. And now, Ty France, Julio Rodriguez has been hot the past couple games. We'll see if they can keep it up. How many games have you been to so far this year now?
I've been to 13 games so far this year.
13.
Yep, I'll go to a bunch more. I've been just really busy coaching baseball, just picked up, so I haven't been able to go as many as I'd like to. But I'll be at a couple on this upcoming homestand, and hopefully, see a winning homestand. That's what I'm gonna want from them because we're just a couple games over 500. But luckily, the Rangers have not been doing their job either. So, and the Astros, they're coming up, and I knew that it was gonna happen. I called this when they were, it seemed like they were going to go towards the 10 games behind us. No, they're still a good team. They were having bad luck on their end and just bad, game from a few of their stars too. And now a couple of them are heating up and they're never out of it. And it's annoying as a Mariners fan. It's very annoying to see the Astros like that, but you can never count them out. So they're a tough competitor. Mariners and the Astros, they do have bad blood. You just heard it. I forget who said it the other day, but the Mariners were talking about, man, it always feels good to shut them up per se. They really they don't like each other. So I'm hoping that we can just keep our groove going and just stay in control of first place.
Absolutely. And Jace states out here that the Astros are 10-5 the last 15, it seems. So yeah, as you mentioned, they're working their way back, and the more opportunities we have to separate ourselves. So this 4-game series against the Astros, if you can get a sweep against the Astros, obviously that'd be amazing. But
yeah,
just to get some momentum going, and then also the rest of the teams in the AL West. What do you think about do you think that Ryan Bliss might be able to make an appearance at some point sooner rather than later? That was a guy that was exciting heading into the year.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I was really big on Ryan Bliss, and I'm hoping that he's going to be our Jose Altuve. Being that he's a little guy that has some pop. That's a comparison there, but at the same time, I mean, Josh Rojas has been very consistent. He has been on a rough stretch, or he was on a rough stretch. I think he's starting to pick it up again. But I mean, that guy was insanely hot, and everyone's gonna have their ups and downs. You can't just be on the top of the roller coaster the entire time. It's got to come down at some time, and it'll go back up. So just got to be patient with that. I really like Bliss though a lot. Luis Urias was just optioned down to AAA. That was a big move. I think a lot of Mariners fans had been maybe wanting to see that happen for a while. I was hoping that Urias could bounce back to what he was doing with the Brewers. But and maybe he still can. But for right now, I think you just play consistencies in at bats, and I think you need. I mean, Luke Raley, that guy has just been insane. So you need him in the lineup. You need Rojas in the lineup. You need Dylan Moore in the lineup. He's been crazy hot, and now you got JP out there. So you're gonna be able to move a lot of these guys within the corner infield spots, and Raley can play first. Dylan Moore can play third. Rojas can play third. So you got guys that can play a little bit everywhere. So it's really nice to have that utility kind of presence in your lineup. It's been giving off days to, for where Mitch Haniger can DH and we don't have to have him in the outfield, which I like having Mitch Haniger's bat in the lineup. I think it's a good quality at bat in the lineup at most nights, honestly. Maybe I think he's hitting just above the Mendoza line, but I like his just approach at the plate and his leadership and having him in there. So it's good to have him out there. And then Dominic Canzone is back, and I'm hoping that he can get going as well.
Yeah, that's the tough thing, is because there's so many guys. And coming into this season, I was really excited with the offseason additions, looking into the underlying numbers of Luke Raley, potentially the biggest, power speed, under the radar power speed combo or threat. Jorge Polanco, Mitch Garver, all these guys. And now that they're all healthy, the acquisition of Dominic Canzone was under the radar last year. You look at what his potential is. Now it's like, how do you cycle these guys through the different spots in the lineup to actually get them that bats? Because looking at Luke Raley last year was really the first time that he got the big exposure in the big leagues, which allowed him to take that next step. But when you're not getting, consistent at bats, it's that much harder to get up to your true production. So it'll be interesting to see what the Mariners do with the lineup. And I had Gary Hill on last week or the week before, and he had the idea of, putting Josh Rojas in like the 3-hole because he was the hottest hitter in baseball. Do you have an ideal lineup at this point in the season?
Yeah, I don't I don't agree with that, but I like it. I like it, but I definitely like having Julio up there. I don't even like having Julio in the 3-hole. It's crazy that we did knock him down in the 6-hole. But maybe that was good for him. Ideally, I think I would still have JP at the top of the order. I'd have Julio in the 2-hole, Raleigh when he's in the 3-hole. 4-hole, I don't know so much. It's interesting because Mitch Garver, everyone expected him, if he was going to be the Texas Rangers version of 2023 Mitch Garver, that he would have been holding that down that 4-hole. At this point, I'm thinking Luke Raley in the 4-hole. Just because of how dominant he's been, and Dylan Moore right behind him in the 5, maybe 6-hole. It's hard. Polanco obviously has gotten off to a real slow start too, but he hit the ball hard today as well. CJ Abrams made a heck of a play. So
he was taken out with hamstring tightness, unfortunately.
I saw
He's
that.
getting,
I saw
yeah.
that. Yeah. So, but losing him as well, that's just going to also allow for more reps for Dylan Moore and for Rojas to stay in that consistent role at second base. And, I think they're all going to be flipping back and forth. I think you'll see Rojas at third. I think you'll see Demo at third, and then vice versa at second. And you're going to see a bunch of that. I don't know, though, if we will see guys like Ryan Bliss getting called up potentially later in the end of the season, but I think that kind of depends on where our record is sitting at come July and August and those hot summer months where things really start to heat up.
Yeah, and then you saw, Luis Arias was sent down. Jonathan Clase came up, so that adds some versatility also to the outfield. Speaking of Julio Rodriguez, so there's another stat. Mariners PR always comes out with these really detailed stats that are pretty cool, but this one is called It Just Takes 3. So Julio Rodriguez hit his third home run of the season in last night's game, snapping an 0 for 15 skid at the plate in a stretch of 11 games without hitting a home run. During his first 2 MLB seasons, Julio has kicked off his offensive production into another gear following his third home run of the season. In 2022, he had a 671 OPS in 37 games before hitting his third home run, and then a 920 OPS in his 95 games following. Last year, he had a 721 OPS in his first 16 games prior to 3 home runs, and then an 830 OPS in his 139 games following. So we've seen a very slow start from Julio from an overall production standpoint, but that third home run's out of the way. So now we can expect his all-star status to return pretty quickly.
That's so funny. It seems like such an ESPN stat, but if that's Julio, then that's Julio, and I'll take that. And honestly, every year, if Julio just kind of stinks it up for a month, and that's what he needs to do, and then he's just one of the best players in MLB after that for the following 5 months of the season, then so be it. So
yeah.
I think that he's going to start picking it up. He hit the crap out of the ball today. I mean, he was even on his single into right center at the end of the game there to put the Mariners up 9-5. I mean, I think it was a hit 107, 108, something like that. I mean, he's been hitting the ball hard, honestly, all year, and he has gotten that. Just unlucky in several events. Yes, we do see him strike out a lot, or we were seeing him strike out a lot. But he looked more confident the last few days, I would say. Like even towards the end of the Yankee series, and I think just like plate appearances, like I'm always watching his ABs and like intently, and I think he's starting to find it. And I think you're going to start to see him go on a hot streak here. That's what we can hope for. And like you said, maybe he needed that third home run, and now he's going to be on fire. Who knows?
Another comment from Jace. What's the max amount of home runs that you could see Julio hitting this year? He's hit 30 in each of his first 2 seasons, but is not on pace for 10 so far this year, which is insane.
So as of today, as of the fourth home run today, they mentioned after the game that he is on pace for 12.
Oh,
So
let's go.
yeah, so he's on pace for 12 now. So hey, the very least 12, right? It's only up from there. But I think. What do you think, Connor? I'm gonna say 24. I could see 24.
I mean, I would say 30 plus again because
Yeah.
you look at like last year when it was hot Julio summer, where I think it was July was his hottest stretch. He had like a historic stretch. And when he gets hot, it's like, when he's cold, he's missing everything. He's swinging at sliders 3 feet outside of the box. But when he's hot, he's hitting like no other in baseball. So if he gets on a hot stretch and just starts launching balls and like they say on the commentary, once he starts putting the ball in the air, things start to happen, and he's starting to get the ball in the air. When it starts to heat up in Seattle, the air, allows the ball to travel further.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he's going to get above 30. And to clarify, in 2022 he had 28, 2023 he had 32. But it's like you look at Ronald Acuna, who unfortunately seems to have torn his ACL today. I don't know if you saw that,
Yeah, I did.
but Acuna had a 40-70 season last year. There's no reason why Julio can't do something like that. He's got 4 home runs and 11 stolen bases right now. If he steals as many bags as he should be able to, he's in the 98th percentile in sprint speed overall. He's 96th percentile in bat speed, 91st percentile in average exit velocity right now. There's no reason why he shouldn't be having consistent 30-30 seasons. And if he decides to steal more, why can't he hit 40 and then also steal 40?
Definitely.
The
Well, and
ceiling
so
is there.
the big thing with the stolen bases, I don't know if you had like heard that he's not sliding head first because they wanted to avoid injury. So he's been going in feet first, and he's actually been caught twice stealing now because he came off the bag sliding feet first. I don't know exactly what's up with that. I mean, he stole 2 bases today in the game against the Nationals. Shout out to you, Julio, because you won me another category in fantasy with those 2 stolen bases.
There you go.
But just being the fact that they're being so cautious with him, I think it's a good thing because I mean you see guys like Acuna getting hurt, and that's not the first time Acuna's been hurt. We haven't seen, knock on wood, Julio really get injured yet in his career, which I sure hope we don't. But I think they're being very cautious with him, and I think it's a good thing overall. And so you might see him. I still think you'll see him steal 30 bags this year. At probably like 35 to 40. Honestly, I mean, with 11 right now, I think that's fair to say that he'll steal 35 to 40 bags, and hopefully he's around that 30 home run mark as well. He definitely is a player that can do that year after year, and I think he's only going to continue to get better the more experience he gets. So.
And they're commenting saying that it was just announced actually on Twitter that Acuna is out for the year with a torn ACL, which sucks. That's
really
big.
Sucks. I love
Does that
Acuna
mean?
too, so that's hard.
Does that mean we're going to see Jared Kelenic starting every game instead of being in a platoon role now for the Braves?
I gotta say, I'm wearing my Kelenic jersey.
Oh, he's got the Kelenic jersey.
I've got plenty of Mariners jerseys, but unfortunately, I got this City Connect Kelenic. I still hope that he's an all-star someday. That's what I'm hoping. He's a good dude. So hopefully he maybe he comes back to the Mariners. Who knows? I don't know, but probably not. Probably not.
Trade the farm for Kelenic.
Yeah, let's do it.
Looking at his stats, I just had to look it up. He's currently at a 265 average, 306 on base.
Yeah,
right at a 700 OPS total. He's got 3 home runs now.
Yeah, I mean, he was platooning a bunch with Adam Duvall, but honestly, Adam Duvall was quite good last year for a pretty big stretch. I'd say he hit like 10 home runs in like 12 games or something, just something insane. But since being traded or acquired by the Braves, it's just he hasn't been hot at all this year. So I think Kelnic's going to see regular playing time regardless. But I mean, especially with that news of Acuna being out, I think Kelenic has a good chance of starting a bunch of games.
Kind of like our left-handed hitting specialist AJ Pollock from last year.
Yeah.
Which is dynamite.
Oh man, AJ Pollock. I was hoping that we could get a little bit more out of him. No, he's done.
Yeah. Shout out to Twitch, the guy commenting on Twitch, Senny CAC, Pirates fan living in Florida here. Thanks for watching. If you're on the stream, make sure to comment any opinions that you have on the Mariners season, baseball in general. Ask us any questions on topics that you'd like us to cover, and we'll continue to get into it. Another stat from the Mariners stat sheet: Cal Raleigh leads MLB catchers in both home runs and catcher caught stealing with 9. He has 11 home runs, 9 caught stealings. Cal led the majors in both categories with 30 home runs and 24 caught stealing last year, becoming the first catcher to lead MLB in both categories in the same season since Hall of Famer Mike Piazza on the Dodgers in '93. So,
Wow.
Cal Raleigh is definitely him. And the fact, I mean, the hardest, obviously, the hardest position in baseball is to be the catcher. You got to catch those guys with insane velocity and movement on top of him hitting like he does. It's a huge blessing that we've got Cal. And I guess off of that, thoughts on Cal. And then when do you think we'll see Harry Ford?
Man, well, Mike Piazza, that's some good company to have your name surrounded with. I mean, Cal, please, when are we going to sign the guy? Just give him whatever he wants at this point. That guy is so much fun to watch in the lineup day in, day out. I hate when he's not in the lineup. Sorry, Sebi. I do hate when Cal is not in the lineup. Sebi Zavala was, he's a good defensive catcher, but he's no Cal Raleigh. I think we need to get him. I think he's definitely, I mean, with the Mariners stretch of how many ever games they had without an off day, I think it's important to give him a day off here and there. But that guy's just a staple in the lineup. I'm hoping to see him for years to come. But it does suck that he is blocking guys like Harry Ford. And I think that, a player like Harry Ford could potentially come up and slide into some DH roles or even play second base or something like that, even going forward, because I know that he can play second base as well. That's really tough though, because Harry Ford, I think, is going to be a heck of a ball player too. And I think Cal Raleigh is really blocking him from that. But do you trade Harry Ford? I don't think so. I don't think so. You could get a lot for him though, I think. But we can't get rid of Cal ever. I mean, that's like a Dan Wilson to me. He'll be remembered for a long time coming. I mean, Cal is already solidified himself as one of the greatest Mariners catchers of all time, and that's really saying something. So, in the short amount of time that he's been with us.
Yeah, and speaking on Harry Ford, I had watched interviews in the prior years, and the reason why he ended up being a catcher is because he has ADD pretty bad. And so by being a catcher, he's in every play. So he has to pay attention in every play. And he was like, man, if I'm playing in the field, like I get bored so quickly. I'm out looking at, picking daisies in the outfield. And so I don't know if he would ever make the move from catcher, partly because of that. But yeah, getting into some trade talks, there's been various trade rumors that have been starting to come out. We're starting to get to that point in the season where certain teams are standing out. There's the certain teams that are going to be sellers. There's some guys in between. What of the rumors that you've seen so far are you liking, and who do you think the Mariners should go acquire?
Gosh, I honestly hate to look at trade rumors too much. Man, I would love to go acquire a big bat, though. I don't know which names that you've seen that have been thrown out there, but all the trade rumors that I have seen, I don't really think that I've liked very much, just because I think that we're giving up too much, and I don't want to give up pitching at all. I think it's really important. I mean, we just had Brian Wu, get injured at the beginning of the year, and having a guy like Emerson Hancock, that was just huge. I mean, he filled his shoes pretty well. I mean, he pitched quite well for what we could ask for him at the start of the season. And I think he deserves a rotation spot. So that kind of stinks for Emerson Hancock, because I think he is an MLB starting pitcher. But at the same time, Brian Wu, I mean, that guy he's looking like an ace right now. And, he needs to be in there. So, but I don't think you can ever have enough pitching, especially when it comes to the end of the season and playoffs and So all this for, trading an arm for a bat, I just don't think it's reasonable. I think that we need to keep at least 6 solid MLB starting pitchers at all times. Potentially trade some bullpen arms, something like that. But even then, I mean, we've already seen some injuries there. And like I said, I think that we're maybe one bat off of being, being at that next level. But I think our lineup is going to start becoming more consistent towards the end of the summer, or towards the end of the spring and heading into summer, rather. Um, it's hard. It's hard to be patient with this lineup, but I think that the Mariners have a very good rounded team. It doesn't look like it hitting and statistics wise, but I think we're gonna be better than what we are right now. It's just it's so early still, and we're still in first place, and it's so funny because all of us Mariners fans, including myself, have our complaints. We're complaining like, why aren't we doing better? We're in a weak division. It's not a weak division. It's actually a very good division. That it just so happens that the Astros and Rangers are under 500 right now. They're still very good ball clubs. They just aren't playing well either. Okay. And the Mariners, being the fact that I don't think they're playing to their full potential either, has, I mean, it's huge in the fact that this is a very competitive. I mean, shoot, you look at the Athletics. The Athletics
I
are
know.
just, they're winning baseball games. And you're like, what? It is a competitive culture in the AL West. And I think it's going to be like that, the whole time. I mean, I think in years past, you look at the AL Central and you're like, oh, all these guys are just, around the 500, mark. They're still good teams. I think that the Guardians and the Twins, they've been good teams for years now, even though they were in that 500 range every year. I think they were still good. So being that the Mariners are 28 and 26 right now, I don't think that's anything saying that like, oh, they're so much worse than a team that, is a 30+ win team or whatnot. I mean, shoot, you look at the Phillies, I think they're at 38 wins now, maybe 39.
Mm-hmm.
Hottest team in baseball, 7 games at least up on the Braves. Last time I checked, I'm not sure after today, but they were 7 games up this morning. But they're, bound to slow down as well. So I think it's just going to be important for the Mariners to consistently stay above those teams in the AL West, and I think we'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. The Phillies are 38 and 16 right now. They're 6 games up on the Braves after today.
Okay.
And then kind of commenting on the trade talks, I completely agree about the pitching. You can never have enough starting pitching, especially. They probably will have to go get even another bullpen arm to add to the depth and really strengthen out the back end of that bullpen, or even instead of, Austin Both or some of those guys being there, having more quality guys instead of that. But, if you were to trade Emerson Hancock or Brian Wu, then your fallback, if anyone were to get hurt, would be like a Dallas Keuchel, or you'd have to call up like Logan Evans, who has been tearing it up in Double-A, but that's all the experience that he has, and having to rely on a young guy to perform in the pressure situations just wouldn't be the best route to go. Jace comments that Pete Alonso and Vlad Guerrero Jr. are the 2 big names that have been the most popular. There's been other names that have been thrown around. Luis Robert Jr. has been floated out there the past few years. Obviously, it'd be amazing to go get Luis Robert Jr. That would cost half the farm system. Yeah. Then I've seen Marine Layer put out Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette.
I'd love to have Kyle Tucker.
Would you trade Harry Ford, Colt Emerson to the Astros
for Kyle Tucker?
Yes. Would you trade your top prospects to the division rivals, that the team that we despise more than anyone, just for them to come back? I don't think so.
You know why? Because I think they can use them. I think Harry Ford would be starting for them. And I think Harry Ford is a star. So, and I don't want to do that, but Cal Raleigh is a star that's blocking him right now. So I definitely don't think you give him to the Astros. I don't like that so much. Now, Vlad Jr., I can get behind. I mean, he's having a bad year too himself. Or sorry, right. Not even a bad year. He's having a slow start to his year. But we've seen him tear it up in certain times, just like Julio. He gets hot. So Vlad he's gonna have some real good weeks and some real bad weeks, and that's just how it's gonna be. Pete Alonso and Vlad. I really like both of them. I think one of the trade rumors that I saw was a deal where it would be Haniger and Ty France, and I think it was some relief arm or something like that for Pete Alonso. I think that's what that one was. And I just think you're giving up too much for what the consistency is. I mean, Ty France even just hit his 6th home run today. Like you said, he's been hitting better. He's been hitting the ball hard. We saw that at the beginning of the year, and now we're seeing again. He had a little bit of a slow couple of weeks, a little stretch that he had where he wasn't hitting the ball very hard. But all these guys, go up and down, and it's just like a matter of having them all hit at the same time. I think all of our bats, like if they're firing on all cylinders, I think we wouldn't even be talking about this in the lineup. It's just like they haven't all clicked at the same time. But we scored 9 runs today, which it's the Nationals. But the Nationals have not been the Nationals of the last couple of years. So they've been playing hard-fought baseball with a bunch of good teams too. So you got to give them credit. I saw a comment saying like, "Oh, it's going to be a walk in the park when we go down to DC and play the Nationals." Well, they just took the series from us 2 out of 3. Granted, I don't think they should have. I think the Mariners really should have won that series personally, but we didn't. And I think that you got to give props to the Nationals for, securing the series dub. And you can't win them all. You just can't. So I don't know about these trade rumors though. I think it's hard because you want to get better in certain areas of your lineup. But I think we would just be giving up too much. Like a guy like Vlad, you're giving up way too much. They would ask for so much because he's still so young, and we know what his dad was like, and we've seen Vlad at his best, and he's not playing at his best right now. Do I think we can get him on a discount? No, because their value of him is so high.
And I mean, just his name value, it's Vlad Guerrero Jr. It's not some random scrub. The only thing is that, okay, so he becomes a unrestricted free agent in 2026. So he'd be under contract. It looks like it would be arbitration next year, and then, free agent in 26. So you'd get 1.5 years of control. Looking at his Baseball Savant page, he's had a slow start to the season, but his batting average is already up to 302. He's got an 820 OPS. So he might have heated. I think he might have heated up relatively recently because his baseball Savant is completely red. So, I definitely prefer Vladdy over Pete Alonso.
Yeah, just age-wise too.
But Vladdy would definitely cost more.
I mean, he's the cover athlete. He's the cover athlete of MLB The Show for a reason.
Right.
He's a star.
Yeah.
That brings me to another point, actually, too. Home run derby wise, do we think that Julio is going to be in the home run derby again this year?
I don't think so. I think he said after the last one that he was going to not
ever do it again,
or at least not do it for a couple years or something like that.
Gotcha.
Do you think he is?
I mean, I think everyone wants to see it just because of that guy's a monster in the Derby, and it's really fun to watch him put over 80 home runs up on the board throughout the night. I think he should have won last year, personally. I think if you hit that many home runs and that many more than the second place opponent, or in this case, first place, I think you should win the home run derby. But, that's for a different conversation.
We'll have to change some rules in the next collective bargaining agreement for the home run derby.
Yeah, I got to say, I like the old format better. I do. I'm a fan of the 10 outs. I thought that was really cool. Yeah. Granted, we wouldn't see that as many home runs, but even then, I mean, it's just like it's a lot more slow, and the guys are able
more pressure for each swing.
Oh, 100%. And I think there's just like a lot more laying on the line for each swing. So this one, I think it's honestly, that's got to be brutal on the back too. I saw them all walking around with like back braces, like heated back braces.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're swinging as hard as you possibly can 80 times, if you're hitting a home run. Well, I mean, more than that. That's just how many home runs the guy hit. So it's pretty crazy.
And especially when they're, throwing the ball 60 miles an hour compared to if you're hitting 100 miles an hour, it's going to take less effort on your part to get the ball 100%. Out of the ballpark. So you're just cranking it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Mitchell Hopkins says that Julio threw your sister a ball at the game on Friday. That is awesome. You should definitely try to get that signed next time. So is your sister in Washington, D.C.? Is that where she lives, or is she from Seattle? You should maybe try to get that ball signed at some point. And then, do we think we'll see Ty France play some second base? I don't think so. Can play second if we were to keep him at. And
It
get
is
a
funny
first
that he
baseman.
was originally a second baseman. I don't even think of Ty France as a second baseman at all now, just because he's been
Right.
at our first baseman for the last few years now. And it's just like kind of weird to see him at at second base in the lineup. But that's what we acquired him as from the Padres. So that would be very interesting to see if you did get a guy like that, or if you don't do that and you want to have guys like Canzone and Moore and Julio in the outfield, and have Haniger DHing or something like that, but still have those guys in the lineup. Ty France could play third. Ty France and we have seen him at third, but he could play second base, and then you can have a guy like Luke Raley play first base as well. Even Dominic Canzone can play first base. So
Right.
you've got several guys that can play all those positions. I love how many utility guys we have that aren't, technically utility players, but they're very versatile in the positions they play for the Mariners.
Yeah. Well, the Mariners, they got their next four games are against the Astros starting tomorrow on Monday. Then they got 3 games against the Angels. Then they have an off day, 3 games at the A's, and then at the Royals. So we'll see how the Mariners do over this next stretch. Definitely need to pull ahead in the AL West when they can, especially that Angels series. We'll see how they compete against the A's in Oakland. Let's hope that they don't have to see Mason Miller. That would be another name that would be insane for a trade. You have to fill out the bullpen. Mason Miller is going to cost the farm also. But we've, from what, again, what Gary said, it sounds like the rumors are that they're going to try to trade Mason Miller by the deadline, because he does have injury history from the prior years, and that's why they moved him to the relief role, because he was shut down last year because of that. He's got the elbow issue. So we'll see what happens with him. But any other questions, comments, feel free to comment below. Otherwise, we're going to be wrapping it up pretty soon here. Let's see. Yeah, Jace asked again, how much are we buying into this Dylan Moore hot streak? A career bench guy breaking out in his age 31 season. Here to stay, or just an extended hot streak? I mean, he's hot right now, so keep playing him. But do I think it's going to continue the entire season? I don't think so. But maybe he figures something out. He is just an athlete, and he's one of those guys to where when I am on the sidelines, you see him on TV, and then you see him in person, and he's much bigger than you thought.
Yes. I remember mentioning that. We were talking about that when we were on the field last year, and we were like, whoa, Dylan Moore, a lot bigger in person.
Right.
He's a strong dude.
He's an athlete. He looks like it's the same type of build as Julio. It's like tall, lengthy, but like every pound is basically muscle.
Yeah, he's a strong dude, and I think being that he's 31, he's probably only gotten stronger. And he said just the other night that he's feeling better than he ever has, hitting wise. He just feels very comfortable at the plate. He was on TV with when he was in New York. Did you see when he was
MLB Network?
MLB Network. Yeah. So he was on MLB Network, and he was talking with Cal Ripken about his swing and how he hits those outside balls. Did you see all those stats where he's leading in pulling percentage? Like, he pulls everything, and we've always known that of Dylan Moore, but I didn't know it was like that. I mean, the statistics on him pulling and his hard hit rate too. He was actually among some of the best power hitters in all of baseball as of recent. So that's pretty cool. It is an insane streak that he's on, but it is wild to see how he can still hit a pitch out of the stadium and pulling it when it's like a ball off the plate. I mean, it's outside. It's ridiculous. You don't see that from anyone, really. Cal Ripken was really surprised of that. He's like, wow, how did you hit that out into left field?
I just pulled up his spray chart, and I need to watch that segment actually. But yeah, every ball essentially. He's got 2 home runs that went to right center. But yeah, as far as anything else hit wise, singles, doubles, triples, everything is on the pull side.
Yeah.
That's insane. Sour Vanilla says that Demo got on some good juice. I'm here for it.
We're here for it too. I love it. Stay on the juice, Demo.
And then last question here, is Matt Strom the best reliever in the National League? Let me look up his statistics.
I'm gonna say yes, and that is because we are buying Matt Strom in MLB The Show. We are buying that card. We are hoping for a diamond. He's an 84 gold right now. Push him to diamond, baby. Give me a few 100,000 stubs.
There you go. Any other players that are buy low opportunities right now on MLB The Show?
Oh, that's hard. I mean,
because preseason, I'm buying up all the Mariners guys. It's like they underrate everyone like crazy. George Kirby, Bryce Miller, give me that.
I mean, Paul Skeens is going to skyrocket. You would think he's going to.
I already bought his 99 prospect card, whatever.
Yeah,
it was like 135,000. I was like, I am doing that because when Bobby Miller was a prospect a couple years ago, his card was unhittable. Paul Skeens last year's card was unhittable.
Yeah. Well, and Paul Skeens, like his live series is like a 73 bronze, which is just absurd to think that they would even give him a 73 bronze, like knowing that he's the best prospect in baseball.
I imagine the cost of his actual card, like on MLB The Show, is probably in the approaching 1,000 or thousands, even though he's a bronze, because people know obviously that they're running up the price.
Yeah, the bronze was at 1,000. Yeah, there were like 800 orders in that first night after his start. There were 800 orders in for 1,000 stubs immediately, and so I didn't even put any in. But I bet you there's probably hundreds and hundreds of orders in for him right now, because I would assume that he goes from a 73 to a gold almost immediately. So I mean, he's going to be a fun pitcher to watch in MLB for years to come.
Yeah,
it's still almost 1K stubs. Jay says.
I was watching his debut, but his second game, I was just laughing watching that game when he faced the Cubs at Wrigley.
Oh, it was beautiful. Yep.
I was laughing.
Yeah.
At how unfair his stuff is.
Yeah.
The splinker is like a 96 mile an hour splinker, and it's stupid stuff that he
not
has.
fair.
He's gonna be a lot of fun to watch.
I'd love to get him. You know, that'd be a fun trade. A fun trade room right there.
I would trade Brian Wood for Paul Skeens. I might do that.
Trade everyone. Trade everyone for Paul Skeens. Give me that mustache out there. We'll have mustache night. He can throw 102. I'm all for it.
And then I mean, the Pirates rotation with Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, Mitch Keller. Yeah. I saw a graphic the other day where there's an alternate universe to where Garrett Cole, Tyler Glasnow, Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, Mitch Keller are in the Pirates rotation. The Pirates have had an insane amount of like top tier pitchers that they've traded away to every team. Yeah. And so they got the top 3 in that rotation right now. We'll see what they can build on with that.
Yeah, they need to keep those guys, because if they keep those guys, I think the Pirates could be something to behold too. I think that's they got a good young group of guys, even hitting wise. So, and it's fun to watch McCutchen there too, just because McCutchen was there for so many years, and it's just like it's good to see him there. But I'm hoping for the Pirates to be successful.
Right, for sure. Well, yeah, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you joining me this time, Aaron, and we'll catch you guys on the next one to recap the Mariners' next upcoming games.
Definitely. Thanks for having me, Connor.
All right. We'll see you guys later.